But what progressives should be taking away from this is the reality of what's at stake, and that it is more important now than ever to begin to come together no matter what happens on Tuesday, even if progressives lose on Tuesday, that it is time to fight back. Otherwise, it's going to be game over before very long.
Exactly. So I mean, I agree with both Michael and Bob, but this is not an issue of unions versus Scott Walker. I mean, this reminds me of, you know, somebody throws something into a theater, like a smoke bomb or something, and then says, it's your fault when you're in the theater running out for cover. The unions actually in Wisconsin didn't start this. What they did was when Walker was elected, they actually gave some concessions in order to balance the budget, and Walker said, no, I'm taking your rights away. And then he said, and on top of that, I'm cutting billions of dollars of education. I'm stripping away equal pay for equal work. I'm going to do some work in terms of voter suppression. And so what you have here is extremism versus a bunch of people in Wisconsin, including some of the unions, saying, let's try to fight this mid-course. And I think Chris is right. We've gotten to, and it's a we because there's hundreds of thousands of people that are doing this, from farmers to workers to kids, high school and college kids, to teachers and nurses. And they basically have gotten to almost this line where then you have millions of dollars of money fighting against them.
But, well, yeah. I mean, what I was going to add, though, to me, it's not just what's happening in Wisconsin. I think this is going to be very important when we talk about what's going to happen at the state level throughout the country, but also with the election, the presidential election in November, because here's one of the most pressing and important questions. Many states like Wisconsin are facing enormous budget deficits. So there comes a point in time when the American public, whether they are Republican, Democrats, progressives, or conservatives, sit back and say, some of these arguments are pretty silly. Let's have a real discussion about how we not only cut our budget deficit without raising taxes or without raising taxes at an extraordinary level, but also do something to stimulate the economy. These are questions and statements that need to be made by every state in the country.
It just so happens I have a policy solution for you, which is aid to states, which was put in the Recovery Act, which Republicans have just killed rhetorically every time. They call it a bailout to the states. I would also say, if we cared about states as much as we cared about the banks, we would lend them money at 0%.
Exactly right.
Right?
Yeah.
We care about the banks enough to say, your balance sheet is in the trash can. We're going to let you warehouse all your terrible assets on the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve and loan you money at 0%. But the states, we don't give them that.
But let me tell you, as a former state official, the problem with what you just said, this aids to states, it comes with a very, very long string attached to it for a lot of these states who cannot buy into what the federal government proposes, which is often, I'm going to give you money now, and you're going to do all these things that's going to increase the debt.
The baseline.
Right. So this money pales in comparison to what your outlays are going to be in the future. So a lot of states back off of that. And so, and the second piece, just to round it out, is for a state, all money flows down, right? No, it stays at the top. It's like cream. It just sits there. So counties, municipalities do not see the raw benefit of getting all this federal funds or even state monies that comes from extra taxes or whatever the governor proposes. So you're talking, to your point, you're talking to a fundamental realignment of how the system works at the state level. Yeah. And I think that's the beginning of the noise you hear right now.
And what is the governor supposed to do? If a governor comes into office and you come in and you've got a $3.6 billion deficit that you're looking at, what do you do? How do you decide what to cut?
Well, but this governor cut corporate taxes.
Right, he cut taxes.
And this governor has also, so he cuts the investment to education. He also, at the same time, cuts people's rights at the very same time as they were willing to do the concessions. My point is this. People in Wisconsin, the workers in Wisconsin were willing to deal with Governor Walker, and he turned his back and said, no, I'm going to cut your rights. This is America. In America, we actually try to solve problems, and what we're seeing in Wisconsin, well, we should.
Not get too far ahead of ourselves here.
Exactly right.
Politicians.
Right. But if you don't, I mean, we've seen this picture in terms of, take Great Britain. austerity doesn't work to get us out of a recession.
No, austerity alone doesn't work.
yeah,
austerity alone doesn't work. That's
but
clear.
austerity-
We need stimulus
Sorry.
also.
We have no, it's fine. That's what you're here for. John Nichols is on the line from Wisconsin. We're going to hear an update from him about what's going on the ground right after we take this break.